in youth and in their leadership skills and capabilities at all the levels possible. So you have people in the region, such as Mohammed bin Rashid, who have a vision. And that vision is reflecting itself beyond the borders of the United Arab Emirates through the fund I just mentioned. You have a country like Jordan trying to invest in human resources, given the fact that it doesn't have any real natural resources to invest in teachers and educators. And so there are attempts. So in that sense, yes, several Arab countries are doing better than others.
What role does education play in preparing Arab youth for the future? What outlets besides the internet do youth have for expression?
I mean, the internet is an amazing force, and it has changed the landscape, the expression. You look at the internet, it has empowered the individual. You look at bloggers in the Middle East, it has also empowered the individual. They can read all kinds of alternative information that is not publicly known, and they will see it on the internet. You can see it. Anybody can see it. Sometimes it's written in English, and many times it's in Arabic, but you can all see it. Education is a very important source of empowerment. The question I have always in education is it really providing us and the youth with the skills, the critical thinking, the writing skills, the communication skills, the ability to problem solve, the sense of lifelong learning? Is it providing what a typical liberal arts education provides elsewhere in the world? And I will say we have a long way to go in this sense. There is a lot of in our educational systems, in high school, elementary, and middle school, that is based on rote learning, on traditional thinking, on memorizing and producing during an exam what you have memorized, regardless of thinking and regardless of analysis and regardless of understanding. And so there is a lot actually to be done. So education is a centerpiece. There is quite an explosion now in the Middle East and in the Arab world of American education, which is, American education is extremely admired, is extremely respected in the Arab world, and therefore there is an expansion of universities in the region that provide American higher education. They use American texts, they try to hire American faculty or American trained faculty, they try to bring procedures and policies and etc. into the curriculum that are based on US institutions of higher education. This is all over the Middle East. Today you go to a place like Qatar, they created the Qatar Foundation. The Qatar Foundation, you basically have chapters now of Georgetown, Cornell, Texas A&M. You also have all kinds of other universities are creating satellite campuses of major US campuses in medicine and business and engineering, etc., art, design. At the same time, in other places, you have universities that are mushrooming that have an affiliation with an American university. In Kuwait, for instance, the American University of Kuwait, GUST, Gulf University for Science and Technology, all have affiliations with leading US universities that advise them on how to develop their curriculum and conduct much of the teaching and the style. So there is much of that, and there is a whole set of people that are going to these colleges. They're also going to American schools. There's also mushroomed in the region. Now, the unfortunate side, much of this education is elite education. It's really to 2% or 4% or 5% or 10% of the Arab world. It's not touching the mass. The mass are still going to public education through high school, and then they're going to a public university. And the curriculum there is different, the teaching there is different, and therefore a lot is to be done also in public institutions, in government universities that are still lacking in so many aspects.
There are a couple of questions about Israel, and do you see young people, I'll gather them together, do you feel that young people are ready to have Arab countries live in peace next to an Israeli state?
I think that is much more doable than any time in the past, despite all the news and all the media and all you hear. There are several states in the region that already have peace agreements with the Israelis, Egypt and Jordan. There are several states Not only several, in fact, all the Arab states came through in the